Now, traditionally, well, not traditionally, but in the past, there was a period when Beyond was one of the key sales companies for film, for Australian feature film.
Yeah.
And it was a source of revenue. Now, you closed that division down.
Yeah.
Can you tell us when, why, and how?
Yes, it was closed down in January, and it's now March. So it was very
This
recent
is January
event.
2007.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, January 2007. The company was established, or we got into the film business in 1990 or 1991. Basically, when the FFC sort of came into fruition in the early days, and originally the FFC had a pretty strong policy, which I think was very sensible, of saying if we're going to grow the Australian film industry, we not only have to grow the creative script writing, directors, producers side, we also should have our own sales and marketing infrastructure to deal with the rest of the world. So ourselves and Southern Star went into the film sales business at that time, and we were very successful. I mean, we were lucky, I think, in our first or second year we had Strictly Ballroom, which was a huge success, and we had a number of successes over the years, including Chopper and Lantana, and quite a few films. I think we've ended up with 150 feature films over that time. But the FFC policy changed towards the late 90s, where they no longer saw international sales function as being an integral part of the industry, then the producers should go and find sales agents wherever they wished to all over the world, which made it more and more difficult for us to get product. But also, to be frank, we've found over the last 5 years that the Australian product that was being developed and produced didn't have a lot of international marketplace possibilities. So since probably Lantana, we refocused the business to look at acquiring films out of the UK and the US and other European countries, which met with limited success, and we just, the business basically lost money. And we kept it going for about 3 or 4 years losing money, and eventually we had to make the decision to get out of that business, and we'll still continue to exploit the catalogue through the TV sales area, but we can't see the point in sort of beating a dead horse.
Now, the form of support, if you like, that the FFC provided to Australian sales agents of feature films consisted of what? It mainly consisted of what was written in the guidelines, which was that Australian producers, well, it was basically that Australian sales agents would be given preference on the same terms and conditions being offered to foreign sales companies. There was no more or no less than that. We weren't looking at any direct subsidy or anything like that. And we were, it was just, that was as simple as that. So if we were up against a foreign sales company, put up the same deal, we would get the film. Do you see that I know you were saying in the last 5 years there were some weak products internationally, commercially weak internationally, but with the changing circumstances, would you consider going back into that business if that was reintroduced as a part of the guidelines?
Potentially. I think we would have to see a dramatic change in the way films were being developed, or probably it's the development phase that's lacking. And I think Australia, this is going to sound awful, but I don't think there's a strong producer pool in Australia, and producers are vital to getting films made. And we've got a very small pool of competent producers, Jan Chapman's, Tristan Miles, Al Clark's, but they're the same ones who've been around for 15 years. And occasionally you see producers come and go, but I haven't seen any, and I'm sure there are exceptions, but in general we have not seen a big pool of producers coming out of this process. And producers, funnily enough, can't do what directors do. I mean, there's a number of directors who've come out of this, and actors. They go overseas and become successful. There's very little call for producers in Hollywood, for example.
Yes, there's 10,000 there.
Yeah, I mean, there's the odd, obviously, the George Millers, and certain people have done it. 2 or 3 people have done it, whereas probably 10 or 20 or 30 directors and actors have done it. Yeah. It's just very difficult. So there are no production companies film production companies in Australia. outside of the Village Roadshows and those huge ones, which are financing companies. But the sort of Jan Chapmans in this world, go from movie to movie and make one every 2 or 3 years.